Hey guys, welcome back from Classic Work. If you can't tell, we're in beautiful HD now. I want to thank all the people that have been sponsoring me and watching my videos, so I'm allowed to do this. So I hope to give y'all some great high quality videos now. Today we got a great little project. We're going to be rebuilding some grinders here. I've got about 4 that need some basic maintenance on them, which needs new cords and probably some new brushes, and I've got to figure out what's wrong with these. These are some old Makitas. I believe the numbers on them are 9005 Bs, and I'm not exactly sure what year they were made, probably the late 70s, maybe early 80s, somewhere around in there. And from what I've heard, these are some killer old grinders. So we're going to tear them down and see what they need and go from there. So stay tuned, it's going to be good. I've gone ahead and plugged these in to check to see if they work. They're not getting any current to them. And this switch right here, if you can see it, it's hanging. So it's actually wrote on the body, bad switch. So whoever had it before me already knew that. So we'll go ahead and start taking it apart. Normally I would check the brushes first, but since we know the switch is bad, we can go ahead and start taking it apart. Okay, I've got half of it taken off. I'm going to go ahead, since this is a split mold, it goes straight down the middle. I'm going to go ahead and split it off right here at the handle part. So just take these out. And looking at the screws here, or the bolts, it looks like somebody's worked on this before, so they knew what was wrong with it. Okay, this should come off. There it goes. Alright, so we got all of our switch and guts in here. As you can see, it's taking forever for it to snap back. There it goes. So that's probably no bueno. Oh, and this is why the switch wouldn't fire, because it's not hooked up. That's interesting. I put it back together and didn't want anybody using it, I guess. Nothing wrong with that. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and keep tearing her down, take the cord off, take the switch out, all that jazz. Alright, so the switch is out. Set that aside. Now, let's look at the... Yeesh. That don't sound the best. Hear it kind of clacking in there. Let's take a look at the brushes. There we go. That might fit it. If you do, get you a set of O-ring picks to get the brushes out. If you don't have O-ring picks, just get you a welding rod and kind of bend a hook on it and sharpen it a little bit. It seems to work pretty good getting these out. There we go. Huh. I'd say that's wore out. Alright, so we'll take the other side out. We'll see if it's still making that noise. I feel like an idiot. Okay, that one there is kind of jammed in there, like it's in there sideways. Oop. And it's equally as worn. So, let's see if it's still making that racket. Still something going on. It may be the bearing. Yeesh. May have to tear the gear head down and take a look at it. She's coming slowly. Come on now. There it went. Grease is kind of froze up in there down at the bottom. Granted, it's probably 30 years old too. Smells kind of like gear oil almost, not really grease. Something's hitting there. I don't like that. We may have to take it down even further. We'll get down to that in just a second. I'm gonna need some other tools for this. Just did a few more tests on it. It's got a little grinding sound in it, but the bearings are still tight. I think all that noise that we were hearing was coming from the ring gear and the pinion on here, because it's not doing it now. It's probably because it didn't have much grease on it. That's no bueno. I don't think I'm going to take this one down any further. Everything seems to be in pretty decent shape. The gear still looks pretty good. I'm sorry, I know y'all can't see that real clearly. But it looks like a pretty well made gear. It's got machining tool marks on it, so that was a cut gear. The ring gear in here still looks really well too. I don't see any breaks or any missing teeth. Probably should open up the gear case, which is these 4 bolts, and figure out what kind of grease it needs and put it back in there. But I really just want to get it back together, see if they'll even run. Okay, and taking the old switch out, I got my new switch in, which is identical to the other one. And if you're curious about where I ordered these parts are, it's a great place called replacementparts.com. I'll put a link in the description down below. And no matter what make or model of equipment that you have, they've pretty much got the parts for it. You can literally rebuild this whole grinder from everything from the armature to the bearings, brushes, cords, etc. Everything. Really nice place. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and hook up our cord. I've also got a brand new cord that I ordered from the same site. This is 18 gauge, which is a little light in my opinion, but it's what they recommended for it, so that's what I chose. I've got crimp-on connectors, which I'm not a big fan of them, but that's all I have at the time. I'd rather solder these on here. But anyways, I got the anti-brake rubber grommet kind of deal on there. I just took it off the old cord. And now we're going to wire up our switch here. If you look on the back, you can read that. I may have it upside down, which I do. Number 1 up here is going to be our neutral, and number 3 down here is going to be our power. Now, if you remember, these were already disconnected when I took them apart, so I don't know which one of these goes to the other 2 terminals, 2 and 4. That's on the front up here towards the switch. So I'm just gonna have to take an educated guess, and it may not matter, but it's good to put it back the way it was. So all I'm gonna do is go ahead and hook up my neutral and my power to my back switch and go ahead and put it inside the frame. Okay, I'm just now wrapping everything up, putting the switch back in. I just wanted to note that I chose to use, I think it's the right brush holder is a number 2 slot, and the left brush holder wire is going to the left. So hopefully that's right. That's the way the wires look like they were put in there. They had a natural curve that went to both of those places. So hopefully that's right. I may be wrong, so somebody correct me if I am, if you know a lot about these old grinders. Now, I was just admiring how well this thing is made. It's got hold downs up here to hold the wires going to the switch, but it also has a hold down to hold the main body of the wire too, to keep you from jerking the wire out the back of the grinder. A lot of thought went into this. It really did. So we can go ahead and start putting the front cover back on. And really and truly, I probably need to clean it, but I mean, it's a work grinder. I mean, it's going to go to work as soon as I get it all back together. Alright, let's see. I got to loosen these up on the back. Just a little bit. Screws here. But this thing is very, very well made. As I said before, I know my dad's told me years ago several times, it seems like stuff nowadays is made to throw away, not made to fix. So, you know, back in the day, you didn't throw something away, you fixed it. Didn't matter if it was a washing machine or a, you know, kitchen aid, like a mixer or something like that. You know, you sat down in your garage or wherever you were and you tried to see if you could fix it. It just seems nowadays something breaks, you just chunk it out. And I hate that. We've lost a lot of skill in our society. But maybe this will help. Let's see, got one more here. Okay, gonna put the brushes in. Now these here are Makita brushes also from the same company. I think these were like $4.50 a piece for a pair. So that's pretty good. They look to be pretty good quality too. But there's the old brush next to the new one. Yeah, I think it was definitely time for some brushes. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put the gear head back on and we'll try her out. Alright, we're going to give her a try. Brand new cord. Ain't nothing tripped yet, so we're good. Sounds okay. Good air coming out of it. So heck yeah, fixed it pretty good. This is the other grinders I've got to repair. As you can tell, the old cord on the back here about done had it, but they're still working and they're still in relatively good shape. These right here are Black & Decker Professional, and these grinders I bet are every bit of 30 years old. They're really old. And I use them about every day, and I hadn't had any problems with them. I don't know if you can still find parts for these or not. I hadn't even looked, but I took one of them apart to replace the cord on it, and this is unreal how cheesy this is. I don't mean to say nothing bad, but the Makita over there is probably twice the size, if not more, than this. There's a few, I mean, look at the connections and everything. They're super duper tiny. But like I said, they've worked great. I've run them for at least 3 years now. And I mean, look at the little brushes. They're tiny little brushes in there, if you can even see that. But yeah, I had no idea the stuff inside these grinders were so small. Now granted, these are 4.5 inch grinders, and I believe the other ones were at least 5 or 6. I think they're 5, but still though. But I did find something really cool. The hookups here on the back, they have an option to have a bigger tab on there. I thought that was pretty cool. So instead of using these little bitty like 20 gauge connectors, you can use these bigger ones here on the back. They're for a standard crimp on or standard slide on, like this size right here. So that'll go right on there. Should. Oh yeah. So I'm gonna definitely use them instead of those little bitty little snots. But I just couldn't get over that. Just because it's kind of, you know, a little bit cheaper made, still good tools. This is very unusual though. I've never seen anything like this. But anyways, I just want to share that with y'all. Here's a few other things I wanted to show. This is a different grinder here. If you can tell, the whole front plate right here has been used so much that it's wore the paint off of it. But I went ahead and took this is another grinder that the shaft wouldn't turn, so I thought it had debris. May have got hung up in the armature. Well, it turns out I was wrong. To take the pinion off of here, it's got a little snap ring, and you just got to get in there and fool with it for about an hour, and it'll finally come off. And it's got a Woodruff key holding the pinion to the shaft. And I fussed and fussed with this thing for probably about an hour trying to get it apart, and it would have been some real good video, but I didn't want to include it and bore y'all to tears. But the shaft was stuck up in here. I tried everything. I tried putting in the vise and hitting on it and everything, and finally I drilled a hole through the back cover right here where the bearing is and took a punch and finally drove the shaft out. And it finally came out one piece, and this is what was holding it. If you can tell back here, this right here is the front cover of the bearing that's in the very back, and she has done had a serious meltdown. And that's pretty tough. But I haven't figured out how I'm gonna get the rest of the bearing out. I'll fool with that another time. What I want to show y'all is on this armature how well made this thing is. Personally, I know very little about motors and grinders in general, but I know enough to be dangerous. One, it's got a solid steel fan on it, which is super awesome because you can actually see the rust in it. But modern fans nowadays are all plastic, and they may be high density plastic, but they're still plastic. So I thought that was pretty cool. Also, this motor here has been dipped. The coil windings, as you can see here, they've got, you know, it looks like it's got dust on it, but that's actually some form of epoxy that they put on there to keep the windings from busting. And from what I understand here, is up here near the armature is where they bust the most, and it looks like they've double dipped it. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's got a huge coating just right there, and that is super awesome. They took some time making this. Also, it's got balancing marks right here and here to balance the motor. So very, very cool. I mean, like I said, this is a well made grinder. And I don't know if you can tell here or not, but the armature, this grinder has been used so much that the graphite started wearing into the commutators here, the commutator bars. And that, I can't imagine how many times that thing would have to spin to do that. But very cool. I can understand why the bearing finally failed. It wasn't it wasn't a design failure. This here was just it was time for it to go. But anyways, I'm going to continue to work on it and see if I can get the bearing out. But I just wanted to share that with y'all if y'all ever have any problems like that. Also, the field windings in the stator here, They're also very well made. I know the light's kind of hard to see, but they've also been dipped, I think. Yeah, they definitely have got epoxy on them. So I've heard for years and years that Makita was the grinder to beat, and they may not be now, but they were then. This is definitely a well-made grinder. Even the brush holders in here, I know I didn't show this earlier, but it's got brass sleeves that go all the way through, and that's super awesome. It's very, very well-made grinder. I doubt if any company could make anything this good now. So thumbs up for the old Makitas. I'm very impressed how they're made. I'm not sure what the shaft size is on here for the bearings. I had one of the old bearings that's on the other bench. I'll take a measurement and put it in the link here somewhere. Tell you what the dimensions is on the bearings and the shaft itself, but it's plenty strong enough. Like I said before, I don't know if this is a 5 or a 6 inch grinder. It may be a 7, but I doubt it. So very cool. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed that when you put brand new rubber on a vehicle, tires, that it makes the vehicle look so much better and it rides a lot better. Just one little change like that, these 25-year-old, 30-year-old grinders look a whole lot better with new cords on them, and I never would have guessed they would look that good. And you can tell that I haven't cleaned them at all, and they look just a lot better. So I thought I just wanted to point that out. Guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. I challenge you to go into your shop or garage and pick a tool that's not working and tear it down. You're not going to mess it up any worse than it already is. So give it a shot. Guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. Y'all take care. I'll see you later from Classic Work.